So yeah, so Black Phoenix made a video about IdentityV not being fun anymore, and I thought it was interesting, so I actually want to watch it on stream. So I like, as you can see, I like have only seen like maybe like the first 30 seconds of it, maybe minute, and I just want to give my honest opinions on it because from what I've had some friends that have asked me about my opinions on the video, and I don't
Because
have any because it's like obviously like I haven't watched the video. Like, so I wanna give my honest thoughts on the video because I want to see what kind of points he makes. So yeah, just as a disclaimer, like for right now, this is not meant to start any shit with Black Phoenix. This is not meant for any hate to go out towards him. This is just me giving my honest reactions to a video that he made about the state of the game, and because I openly like to talk about the state of the game and how I feel about it. So yeah, just throwing that out there. That's not any hate, bro. There's no hate like going around at all. Is this what color should I paint my nails? Do sky blue. Do sky blue. If you're gonna, yeah, do sky blue. Zeus blue. So yeah,
feel
let's get
this way
started.
about Remember the
Let's
days
start the
when you used
video.
to feel this way about IDV? Because I do. Where did the
Uh-huh.
excitement and suspense go? The adrenaline rush during a chase, and the chuckles after a ripper just bonked you on the head after you rolled the window. I'd wager now that such a situation would leave you feeling deflated and frustrated. You probably fester with annoyance as you await rescue on a rocket chair, only to be let down by a mercenary that just didn't bring tide
Uh-huh.
turner. Then the post-match chat becomes a battleground of blame over a terror shark. Who's really at fault here? This scenario really
The guy that
reflects
wait,
the
what?
current state
Wait,
of
hold on,
Ireland.
what?
Probably fester with annoyance as you await rescue on a rocket chair.
Video's quiet? Okay, hold on. Let me just real quick. Okay, how about this?
Only to be let down by a mercenary. You probably though. I'd wager now that
How does the video sound now? How does it sound? Put captions? Okay, I gotcha. Captions. Sound good now?
such a situation would leave you feeling deflated and frustrated. You probably fester with annoyance as you await rescue on a rocket chair, only
Mm-hmm.
to be let down by a mercenary that
All right.
just didn't bring tide turner. Then the post-match chat becomes a battleground of blame over a terror shark. Who's really at fault here? This scenario really reflects the current state of the game, and I bet some of you are really itching to debate what I just talked about. The
Not debate, but just see your point of view and maybe have an exchange of perspectives.
mercenary should have taken tide turner. Or, no, it's the fault of the player who got terror shock. They shouldn't have vaulted in front of the Ripper. Take another look at the title of this video. Starting to see my point here? Nostalgia for Identity V's early days is bittersweet. Yes, the game was a chaotic mix of imbalance, but we were all too engrossed in mastering the basics of the game and improving our kite and laughing off our mistakes. Balance and competition really didn't matter much because everyone was learning and making the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Balance seemed to naturally occur as a mistimed rescue against a hunter with detention would just balance out by the fact that a hunter would teleport to the wrong gate. Now,
Okay, that is not balance. That's not that can't be that can't be a train of logic because that doesn't actually follow like a formula. So like you can't argue balance on a game based off just player error, more or less. Like I can see the point of view because it's like, oh, it's okay, like mistakes happen because you expect the other person to make a mistake, but you can't do that. You it's a like exactly, it's a hypothetical kind of thing. You kind of like you would think like, okay, yeah, they'll make a mistake because I made a mistake, but that's not the reality of it thing. You can't like that's the and it's like he mentions the whole thing of like nostalgia and it's like, yeah, that's the whole point of nostalgia because it's like it feels nice to remember it type of shit. I think his point is more about making one mistake was okay. Well, then, I mean, okay, then sure, I guess. But like, if that's his point, then I guess sure. But like for my head, that's not how I took. That's not how I did it. But regardless, that's not something you can still use as like a form of logic to define what fun is.
Imagine a newcomer to IdentityV, eager to dive into the lower tier ranks. What is essential for them to know to be able to compete against today's survivors and hunters? First of all, they must master the art of rescue, then discern to rescue against various hunters, understand role-based rescue priorities, know how to execute an effective body block, and know when to avoid body blocking in the first place. They should judge when to use pallets, prime ciphers, and time final cipher pops, all whilst keeping track of the hunter's teleport or blink cooldown and a multitude of other things. If you think this is only high tier knowledge, then think again. Even in the lower ranks, these skills are not just expected, they are the norm. Sure.
Okay, this is kind of my first issue. This is actually something I have a genuine problem with just a bit. Because you cannot expect yourself to go into rank and be like, I'ma just play rank for fun when that's not the point of rank. So he's saying low tier doesn't feel like low tier? A bit, I guess, like maybe like that, but that's just the case. People start learning. You can't exactly, you can't talk up, you can't use rank as an example because when you're going into ranked, you're not going into ranked for fun. You're going into ranked because you want to progress. You want to go further. You don't go into rank to have fun. Like guys, does it look like I have fun in rank? Chat, does it look like I have fun in rank? Because like there's like things you can't use that as an excuse because that logic follows for every game. Every single game that you play when there is a competitive mode, you need to learn everything to play in that competitive mode. Like for those of you that know, I play a shit ton of Tekken. I play a shit ton of Tekken. Z's know like you guys know this. And like Vina bought me Tekken for Christmas, and like I play that shit like religiously. Like I love the game, and I play ranked. But I'm a mid tier in Tekken. Like I'm a mid to low tier in Tekken for ranked. You want to know why? Because I still haven't properly learned every single matchup. Because every single matchup is intricate. And Tekken, by the way, is just way more in depth than IDV. The character that I main has 151 moves, like just 151 potential move inputs, along with having specific type matchups and having to learn frame data for Tekken ranked. Like Tekken ranked is really like a fucking like crazy sweat fest. Like it really is. But the point I'm trying to make here is that in every game there's a skill gap and you need to learn that skill gap. You have to know these things to play rank. That's not something that you're doing because it's fun. Because no one's gonna have fun learning every single knowing how to you should rescue against a bonbon or how you should rescue against a sculptor or rescuing against a hermit or a night watch. Like it's not fun, but you need to do it because that's the only way for you to progress. So using things that you have to know to progress and be better at the game to measure fun, you just can't do that. You really can't. It's just not a good basis because it leads to just disappointment.
Sure, mastering the intricacies of IDV can be really rewarding, and I really do think it can be.
Okay.
But when it becomes a prerequisite for enjoyment, especially for newcomers or casual players, the game loses its charm.
It's not a prerequisite. It's only a prerequisite if you are trying to climb rank. You can play IDV for 5 years or some shit and just keep playing quick matches. Look at my boy Duco. Shout out to Duco, by the way. Sub to that man. But like Duco hasn't played rank in years, bro, and he still has fun with the game to an extent. I'm pretty sure Duco left a comment actually on this video, and maybe I'm about to. Yo, my timing is actually perfect. Well, what did Duco say about this real quick? IDV has pretty much reached its DBD state of the game, where it's just always a constant argument between survivors and hunter. I think the reason modern characters feel so insufferable to play is because instead of devs taking core issues games such as incredibly fast cipher speed, overtuned harassers, they decided to make hunters that excel in countering these issues. So now it feels bad for survivors when the game is supposed to because of how strong hunter ability is directed towards a certain element of the game. Then they fix the issue by doing the same thing with survivor, adding in a character that can specifically counter what abilities newer strongers have. Meanwhile, the older hunters and the survivors are left in the dust and feel horrible to play because of how little they have compared to the newer picks. Okay. Okay, so I kind of disagree with most of what Duco's saying here. Not gonna lie, I do kind of disagree with most of the. I kind of disagree with what Duco is saying, like to be honest. But also Duco is a casual. I'm a competitive player, so there's obviously gonna be some difference in perspective here because the game is more so contained and catered towards the competitive aspects with IVL, IJL, and KOA. Like it does try to handle the casual aspects, but yeah, like it's mainly catered towards the competitive side. And yeah, Arsene, yeah, it's exactly like Arsene says. I'm a sweaty rank tryhard. Duco's just a casual. So because of that, it's like yeah, our perspectives will be different because to the casual, it's like a casual player is not gonna bother with learning all of the shit. So when they get matched with someone that knows the entire game inside and out and knows how to properly use their character, they're gonna get upset because then it's not gonna seem fair or fun to deal with because you don't know it. But to that I say, if it's bothering you that much and you're playing the game, learn more about the game.
It just becomes a formula or a routine,
Okay.
especially if you consider how many matches play out like
All right, let's hear
this.
this.
Everyone starts decoding, a survivor gets discovered, the hunter chases until the survivor is downed, 2 to 3 cipher machines are popped, the rescuer rescues before the halfway mark, the hunter downs the same survivor again, the final cipher pops when a survivor gets hit, the survivors then dash to the exit gate, and anyone who can get out, gets out.
Okay, so this formula works very well in bot matches. It works very well in bot matches because I can guarantee that this does not happen on a consistent basis. This formula that he just described is kind of like the same way of how you would describe a recipe book. Like it's literally how you would describe a recipe book. It's like you're following a literal like it's like you're playing IDV, like you're looking at IDV like the mentality of an A goes to B to C to D to E when that's not the game. The game has a lot of intricacies. Most of the time, there's no guaranteed of a survivor rescuing before half. Yeah, something does sound boring when you say it in the same way. Aren't they the same thing? That's my point here. It's like you're saying that the formula is boring and this is boring, but you're not doing anything to actually spice it up. That's my kind of thing. Like, let me put this into perspective for cooking. For me, I love baking. I love cooking. Like, I enjoy those things. Those two, I have a passion for them. I love baking sweets. I love cooking food. But I don't like following recipe books. Why don't I like following recipe books? Because I feel for me, they take the fun out of it. Because if I'm gonna cook, I want to cook something unique and something that'll taste unique. So I don't want to just follow a book that tells me I have to do this, to end up with this. I want to do it my way, but still get maybe something similar. That's how I see it. Like that's my philosophy with it. I think the thing is, it's about fun specifically. IDV is very fun, but it's tough to bring in new players. People are expected to catch up to meta so fast that they don't want to be bullying postman. That I can agree on. That I can agree on. Because I do think that IDV does an absolutely horrendous way of explaining the game to newer players. It's horrible. It does an actual like horrible, terrible job at explaining things to new players. It's not new user friendly at all. Yeah, it isn't. If you're not a returning player, you don't have these concepts in your head, and the game doesn't actually do a good job at explaining these things to new players. Like it really doesn't. It doesn't do a good job. So that I can agree on. But also to the toxicity thing, it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. Every community is gonna have toxicity. You kind of just gotta take it in stride at some points. Like you really do. Like sadly, you kind of need to just take it in stride type of shit. That's literally it. That's kind of a thing. It's like me and Z's like the Smash community Z's like you know this like it's not it's wild. Like the Smash community is actually crazy. It's like when I first started playing Identity V, like I didn't know shit about anything, and but then I just decided to learn. Yeah, you can also disable post match. I got flamed in quick match and I just started the game and couldn't even pro. Why are you getting flamed in quick match? Okay, you see, this is my other thing, which I actually will agree with on Black Phoenix's thing. Like this is where I actually do agree with Black Phoenix on this thing because it's like people are tryharding in quick match. It's a fucking quick match, bro. It's a quick match. You're playing the casual mode. Be casual. Be nice. Like it's for funsies. You're not losing anything. You aren't. Like just play the fun game mode. Like you're playing the funny haha game mode to have the funny haha. The reason I haven't been on streams is that you're fine, Moon. Don't worry. Like don't worry, Moon. It's okay. Like you have life shit. You gotta fix it. Like it's great. Like that's fine. Like all this like excess stuff with the community. Like it's like go crazy. Like at this it's literally as if like at this point like the dev should honestly consider making a literal fucking like rank mode for every single mode so the people that want to sweat in tarot like they can just do that and rank tear it or something because it's like the casual modes don't even feel that casual. And I think that's more of a community based issue though.
If the match does deviate from this pattern, it's usually due to the fact that the match was a one-sided snowball victory.
False. If the match deviates from the pattern that you just stated, which is also to an extent false, it's because either the survivors are doing different strategies or the hunters are doing different strategies, and we see this a lot in competitive gameplay. Matches most of the time in comp, they don't follow these formulas. Matches in high tier rank, they don't follow more often than not these formulas. It's because the team is like it's a team game. It's a 4v1. And I think this is also and I'm gonna be reaching this out, but it's also this might be from the perspective of a solo player who just plays by themselves and nothing else. And this is just blatantly not a game that you can really play by yourself and do like perform the greatest in all aspects. Because whether you want to or not, you're gonna have to rely on your team at some point. You really will. You will have to rely on your team at some point, and you can't do anything about it.
This core loop has been the game's backbone for over 5 years now. Speaking of monotony, let's shake this thing up with a quick plug of mine. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more, consider supporting me through the link in the description down below. After something like 3 years of
Yeah,
weekly
sub to
uploads,
that man,
I
Black
hit a bit of
Phoenix.
a creative wall and I finally burned out. So if you can't support me financially, then just keep on watching and engaging with my content because
W.
it means so much to me. Yes, even if you hate me.
You
The
see?
devs have introduced new hunters, particularly
Uh-huh.
those from the past 2 years, with abilities that seem to counter every aspect of gameplay that the survivors would ever use, such as kiting, rescuing, and even decoding. It's almost as if they're nudging survivors towards a more collaborative style of gameplay.
The team game wants you to play as a team. Yes, that's kind of the goal.
With more stuns, assists, and stuff like that. But for many, this shift has also heightened the frustration of the game, particularly when you're kiting. Take Naiad for example. Her ability effectively zones you out from certain areas, making looping impossible, and then when she's at full presence, you can't even transition kite against.
False. Again, this is just a case of you don't know how to kite the character, and that's okay. But again, if you don't know something, you should try to learn it instead of complaining about it. Because when you are complaining about something that you don't know, but you don't want to actually learn about the thing that you don't know, you're going to keep on playing. You're going to keep on complaining. Like, yeah, that's just it. You have to learn about the game whether you want to or not about certain things. And it's like it's more it just like I can see the point of view because this is kind of playing back into his earlier point of where you have to learn some intricacies to quote unquote have fun even in the casual mode, and that is coming to effect since I am saying now you have to like if you don't know how to kanaya then well you have to learn to deal with her. But it's also a case of like this is again every single game. You can queue up a game of Overwatch, a game of Val, a game of a match in Tekken, Street Fighter, Warzone, um, Final Fantasy, for example, like Final Fantasy, any common PvP game, you can always queue up a match, but you'll always lose then if you don't know what the hell is going on and you don't know how to do that person, even in the casual mode. That's gonna be your exact same experience in every single game that you play.
instead. So what are you supposed to do in the kiting department? If you want a more modern example, then let's talk about opera singer. Do I even need to talk about that? No, I don't. If kiting becomes impossible, where's the fun in the chase? High tier matches are no longer really decided by individual skill in kiting, but
That's false. That is very false. Very, very false. Can confirm that is false.
more in team dynamics and early game decisions.
That is also though true. That is also somewhat true though.
I'm pretty sure you could even make an argument that matches are actually decided in the character picking phase of the game.
Matches are only decided in that picking phase when people are playing Mind's Eye and Puppeteer. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules, chat. I don't make the rules.
I'm not here to debate whether IDV leans in favor of hunters or survivors because frankly, I'm just tired of that topic overall.
Based opinion. Chad opinion right there. Chad opinion. Based.
Matches against hunters like Mad Eyes, Photographer, or even some cases like Helemba are so exhilarating.
I'm gonna have to stop you right there, buddy. You were cooking for a little bit and now you're burning the food. This fucker right here is not fun. I'm gonna have to pull you aside from the stove real quick. This fucker right here is not fun. This one, I can see it. This one, I like facing Mad Eyes, despite me bitching about him, because he's unique and I barely got him. This fucker right here, absolutely not.
It's because matches feel more fluid. There's a blend of excitement and caution that keeps you on your toes in those kind of matches because you just don't go against them very often. You're aware of the potential devastating mistakes you can make against these hunters, yet there's also a sense of fair play, almost like a dance of strategy. The hunter's fruits then show later on in the game as they've used all of their abilities carefully, or maybe did not do exactly that. Their ability
Joseph needs to be deleted. I mean, he has a point. Paul mentioned to me that you can literally walk in a straight line as your kite with a good game sensors can still easily draw. In tournament, yeah. But like routing is still a thing. Like maybe for them, like you gotta also like I'm trying to look at this from the perspective of like the average IdentityV player. Because obviously if you put the pros into this, yeah, the pros are gonna go crazy with this. So I'm trying to look at this from the lens of the average IdentityV player, not someone like Paul from B4U or something. Because yeah, then if you're like a professional and you study this game inside and out, like me or B4U or people from Omni, yeah, if you have the game sense for it, it doesn't matter where the fuck you kite because you have your game sense is that high. That's kind of my thing.
Are just so unique and change how the game is played. These hunters are of course very difficult to explain to new players, but they rekindle that feeling of freshness for many of the veteran players among us. And before you think I've overlooked the power creep affecting survivors, think again, because modern survivors seem to have it all as well. Take for example Composer.
This is not a good example of a survivor that has it all. I'm just saying that now.
His Achilles heel supposed to be? He's a great decoder with an impressive kiting ability considering he's a decoder, and a passive that reveals hunters when they're around him that can pinpoint hunters' locations whilst he's decoding in his rhythm game. This last passive might seem a little trivial, but it effectively neutralizes what could have been the only chink in his armor. This design philosophy has leaked into nearly every character design, removing the risk and uniqueness that once defined picking a certain character.
So giving characters survival mechanics is bad. That's kind of what I'm understanding from here, unless I'm wrong. And that is just blatantly not true. Number one, Composer is a weak character. Let's get that out the way. Composer is very fucking weak. We're just gonna get that out the way. He's a very weak character. Because and this like his cooldown, one, long ass cooldown. Number two, his ability doesn't grant him that much distance. It barely gets him out of distance to maybe transition. I think he's talking about decoders in general. They're supposed to be weak. But it's also a thing of like, if decoding characters are weak, then why play a decoder? Because there's no point in playing them if they don't have any survivability. That's the thing, though. So it's like it's like I understand what he means by like the uniqueness. Like Mind's Eye is a very unique character. She's blind. She can't see clearly. But her quote unquote pro is that she decodes 30% faster than the entirety of the game, and I can understand that. But doing something to affect physical stats is not something that should be what you call as quote unquote unique to the character. Something like mechanic Something like mechanic, for example, is what we call unique decoder. Her pro, her bot. Her con is that to use her bot effectively, she can't decode properly, but she can still cipher us with it, along with her decode debuff if someone is injured. So it's like he has the con of just not having a decent kiting ability. Like I'm okay with survivors, like all survive. I'm a believer that every survivor should have some kind of defense mechanism, because if there are survivors with no defense mechanism, then what's the purpose of them existing if they can't actually do anything against a hunter? Like there is no purpose in that. There is no there's no point.
Character in the game. Take the prisoner's self-recharging shock ability for example, or the fact that barmaid doesn't get as harshly punished by taking a drink right in front of the hunter. Risk and speciality has been taken away from all hunters and survivors, and has been replaced by essentially being a jack of all trades but with a different flavor.
So the specific examples that he brought up, one, the prisoner doesn't get his shock until like again another like 50 seconds. Number two, the barmaid having to drink while the hunter is near is already the risk. It is already the risk is already there. The physical hunter is already there. That's already the risk. Like that's wild. Chat, what are we going on? Decoders need more creative designs. Honestly, they shouldn't have kiting abilities, but more abilities like mech, lawyer, explorer. Hmm. Okay, I can see that. I guess I can see that. I can see that then. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Though lawyer can kite because he's busted. Lawyer can kite though just because of his base physical stats. That's it. Arsene and Melicat. Melicat, Arsene, chill out, please. Zeus is not cooking? What do you mean? I'm cooking. Mods.
How often do you see this in other games? I don't think you do. Why
Oh,
I had to tiptoe around saying whether IDV is either hunter-sided or survivor-sided is due to yet another issue that the game has. And it's an issue that leads a lot of players to get really tired of the game. It's the community's toxicity. Every gaming
yes.
community, of course, has its own share of the toxicity, but IDV's survivor scene seems particularly adept at tearing each other apart after a match. I understand it is a defense mechanism, but it's also a way to hide your own mistakes, and it leaves a sour taste for any casual player playing the game. The reason for this is the intensity of a victory and the bitterness of defeat that are magnified by the game's asymmetrical nature. As a survivor, you often have minimal control over the match itself, limited to essentially your own individual efforts, like kiting or decoding. This is very unlike other competitive games where a single player can solo the enemy team, but in IDV, a hunter can disregard you completely and eliminate them, resulting in a loss for you, and there's nothing that you really could have done. Because of this, wins become intoxicating because the losses are just so devastating. The point I just made segues beautifully into the community's fixation on balance, and if you grasp my previous argument and acknowledge the inherent asymmetrical nature of IDV, it's clear that perfect balance is unattainable and should not actually be attained in the first place. Yet the frustration stemming from defeat has shifted the game's focus from enjoyment to a relentless pursuit of minimizing losses. When I personally boot up IDV, I'm not entering a high stakes tournament. I'm going to play a mobile game where players are wearing Hello Kitty costumes. Don't get me wrong though, the competitive aspect of IDV is amazing indeed, and I really do love watching tournaments, but the expectation for flawless gameplay in every match is where I start to draw a line in the sand. This non-stop pressure.
I agree with that only if he's talking about casuals. If he's talking about rank, no, I'm sorry. In my rank matches, that is my expectation. I really hate to tell you. That is literally my expectation in my ranked matches. If you are playing ranked, you should be playing ranked knowing every single thing that the hunter can be capable of doing, whatever the hunter you're facing. If he's talking about this for casual matches only, I completely agree. There should be like no hardcore restraints for this shit for casuals. I 100% agree if he's talking about this for casuals. If he's not talking about this for casuals, then no. No, I'm sorry. That's my expectation for ranked matches.
For players has led to creator burnout, and often creators just leaving the game completely. Take any of the new
Yeah.
survivors and hunters that have been released in the game. Nobody sat down to just enjoy jump scaring survivors with Ivy, nor did anyone sit down to have fun playing aeroplanist by messing around by flying over their head or something like that. Instead, people instantly needed to know exactly how to abuse those abilities to be able to kite and then last as long as possible in the match. Is that fun? Not really.
It kind of is because then it just becomes mind games. For me, I like fucking with people's heads a lot. This video is definitely aimed at casual since he's talking about fun more than anything. Yeah. For me, that's fun. For me, I like knowing everything so that way then when I do something right, I have that like I'm fucking God moment. Like, you know?
I wanted to cover the worsening situation for solo queue survivors, but that should be a video on its own.
Agreed. Agreed. And I will be reacting to that when you do make that. I agree with that. Solo queue. No, I hate it.
Needless to say, the game is going further and further into a competitive route, and eventually even you that love the game so much will get exhausted and lose your edge in the game.
Nope. I'm a competitive player, so that does not apply to me. However, for the casuals, yes, that is like not really good. I do agree with him in the sense that the game should not now cater itself so much to competitive that we just say fuck the casuals. Because the casual players are still players. They should still like enjoy the game outside of competitive. So he does have a point in that. The game just should not like say, all right, fuck you casual players. We're only gonna cater competitive and everything. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Like, no, that's not what they should do. Not in the slightest. Not at all. I guess it's just different definitions. So I have fun both in casual and competitive games. Tryharding is fun, but so is goofing around. Oh yeah, I agree. Z's has been there. Z's, you remember our 5v5 matches with GSL, dude? Like, it's just pure fun. It's goofing off. It's just that we don't care. But I also think it's what I my personal philosophy honestly is that I think it's also a mentality thing. I think it's more of a mentality thing because I've played with newer players who when they see something that they don't understand, they're excited to learn about it so they can learn how to deal with it in the future. And I feel that if all newer players adopted that mentality where like they see something they don't understand and instead of bitching about it, they're like, "Whoa, this is really unique. I actually want to learn about it." I think the game would be in a better state, like genuinely. Because it really sometimes does just come down to a mentality kind of thing.
What can we do about that? I'm still not that sure. What do you think? But to bring back those memories of when you first started playing IDV, how about you watch this video over here where I did a survey to find out which survivors people picked for the first time when they first started playing IDV. Remember the days when you used to feel
Bro's editing is also good. I'm not gonna lie. That's a great way to end it right there.
memories
Like
of when you first started
this,
playing IDV.
this
How
is a
about you
great
watch
way
this
to end the
over here
video.
where I did a
This is good editing. I fuck with that. I would love to do that.